All right, the second Tuesday of the month brings a visit from none other than the creator of the AmazingRibs.com website, and, of course, a Barbecue Central show guest Hall of Famer. Meathead is joining us.
Hey, Greg, how am I going to follow that?
I don't know. How are you?
Oh, my goodness. How did such an ugly son of a gun as you spawn such a beauty as that?
I don't. Well, I mean, I do have a wife, and she's really hot.
Okay, that explains a lot.
She overcomes my poor genetic pool.
Somebody in the comments section on Facebook said, grow long hair on Greg and he'll look just like her.
Yeah, I mean, people want to say that, but in the end, that's really not at all the case. So, I mean, it's hard to believe it's been, let's see, when we were in Chicago, are we coming up on 3 years now? When we were in Chicago taking that.
Since I've seen you?
It could be 3 years.
Oh, will you be my Valentine?
Meathead, it would be an honor, sir, and a privilege, of course. And a completely different lifestyle, but nevertheless, I'm open to it. I'm open to it. All right, so before we get into some of the items that we want to talk about here this evening, Meathead, let's quickly, if there is any type of book progress update that you're allowed to share.
Well, the topic we thought we'd take on tonight, I've been having fun working with grilled and smoked cocktails.
Yes.
And I just came back from Paso Robles, where I was working with the woman who's collaborating with me on this book and her husband, who are very talented mixologists, trying to, my wife and I toured the central coast of California in the daytime, but we punched in promptly every day, 3 days at the bar.
Yep.
Started making drinks and cooking dinner. It was a besotted 3 days, but we had a lot of fun. So the book is slowly but surely progressing.
It's really going to happen, right?
Oh, yeah, it has to.
It has to? You're self-publishing. It doesn't have to. You're your own boss.
Oh, no. I've made a commitment. In fact, members of our Pitmaster Club are getting excerpts from the book as I complete them. There's more coming. I've been posting it in the Pitmaster Club for them. So that's another benefit to membership.
What kind of feedback are you getting on the stuff that you release?
So far, pretty good.
I mean, are you open to criticism and feedback, or are you just looking for, it's great, and move on?
No. This is the cool thing about what we're doing is that it's sort of crowdsourcing. People try the recipes. We've tested the heck out of them, but if somebody tries it on a Kamado and I haven't tested it on a Kamado and they run into a snag, or I just ran into one recipe with a reader who did we're doing a lot of fun stuff with exotic flavors, and one of the readers had done a recipe that called for hoisin sauce, and he thought it was very thin and dull, and every time I've done it, it's very rich and glossy. And it turned out he was using a cheap grade of hoisin, so I had to modify the recipe to point out, make sure you use a good grade of hoisin, and I recommended a brand. So
Meathead, Thursday shows Valentine's Day. Are you a big Valentine's Day guy by and large, or is that a manufactured thing for you, or where do you weigh in on Valentine's Day?
I'm a romantic at heart. I've been married 44 years, and you teased this show today, you SOB, with promises that we would talk about romance.
Yes.
So here's my one hint. People ask me, what's the secret of a 44-year marriage? Ask me.
Meathead, what is the secret to a 44-year marriage?
Repeat after me.
Yes?
Yes, dear.
That's it, right?
No, repeat after me. Yes, dear.
Yes, dear.
You were right.
You were right.
And I was wrong.
And I was wrong. That's right.
Yeah.
Learn that quickly.
It goes a long way.
Learn that quickly. That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any other advice for dudes that are looking to maybe really go over the top Thursday that maybe they haven't thought of, might help them impress a significant other?
Well, don't go to a restaurant, man. It is gouge the customer night. I mean, everybody wants to go out for dinner on Valentine's Day because they can't cook.
Hmm.
And everybody gets gouged at a high price and a limited menu, and it's crammed and it's noisy. Cook. The old saying about the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. The inverse is equally true. The way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. Either way, cook.
Is it the lazy way out to go out?
Could be.
Yeah.
The old saying about what are you making for dinner tonight? The answer is reservations. Yeah.
Meathead joining me here on the show. AmazingRibs.com is the website. Are you on Twitter, Meathead?
Oh, yeah. I'm at Meathead on
okay,
Twitter.
that's what I thought. At Meathead. I didn't know if that handle was still significant or not. Or
Yeah.
still valid
I get
or
all
not.
of the hate mail aimed for Rob Reiner.
Yeah. Oh, great. Even better. One of my favorites. All right. So on topic this evening, as you had alluded to, is cocktails with grilled and smoked ingredients. In fact, the promotional piece that I put up on Instagram a handful of hours ago was star anise smoldering on a oak plank with a glass over the top of it. So the visual, if you're not able to see the visual, just me talking about it has to be conjuring up some kind of a thought process in your mind. But this is something, I don't know. I mean, I remember that, was it that Kingsford University when we got stuck all the way out in Bell, Missouri, and there was the grilled lemonade and, whatever else. There was a lot of lemons and limes that was like the first time I had seen ingredients getting grilled or smoked first and then being infused into some kind of cocktail. And it really hasn't lost any type of cachet. In fact, I would argue that more and more it's really catching on. So let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing and what you're recommending on the grilled and smoked ingredients for cocktails.
Well, Greg, that's a funny point that you make that point. Just to elaborate for the readers who don't know the story, Greg and I were both at an event Kingsford did in Las Vegas years ago. And there were about a dozen or so barbecue lovers out there, most of us media, blogger types. And they had some fun activities for us. Chris Lilly did a butchering demonstration. And among the others, they had a little cocktail contest. And Chris did something. He made his grilled lemonade, but the rest of us were doing cocktails. And my team, Robin Lindars, and who else was on my team? I forget now. But we made something we called the rim job, which was like a smoked tomato Bloody Mary that was rimmed in a barbecue rub, and that had a smoked rib bone as a swizzle, and it was really quite tasty. And that's kind of what set me off in this direction. And the new book that I'm working on, it's called The Meathead Method. I decided we'd bring some cocktail info in here because many of our barbecue folks love to drink, and Jack Daniels is sort of the popular drink. But there's an awful lot of folks who like cocktails, and they've really become quite chic in the past 10 years. In the old days, it was just a bartender, and then it became a mixologist.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of them are calling themselves bar chefs, and they're using some of the same techniques that kitchen chefs are using, and some of them are playing with smoke. A lot of them use a gizmo called the smoking gun.
Yep.
And basically it's like a hash pipe with a rubber tube on the end.
What's a hash pipe?
You don't know what a hash pipe is?
I've heard them. I've seen them on the internet.
It's a
weed delivery vessel.
Yeah, thank you. Hashish is very, very potent version of marijuana, I guess. And it's a very small bowl. And these things have like a motor with a blower and a rubber tube. And you put sawdust in that little small bowl, and it creates smoke and then pushes it down the tube so you can stick it into a drink. Or I've put it in, I've taken like a baking tray with scallops and cover it with a baking pan, I should say, cover it with saran wrap and stick this tube under there and let it smoke. And it does. It puts a very delicate, subtle flavor on things like cocktail onions, olives, shrimp, and so on. And you can put that tube into a drink and smoke, especially if you've got a drink that has dairy in it, things like a brandy Alexander. It sticks to fatty substances pretty well. So we're playing with stuff like that. One of the things that I think I invented, it's hard to take claim for something in this world because there's always somebody who came ahead of you, but I think I kind of invented a technique for making smoked ice. And I think it's one of the coolest things I've ever done. And what you do is you take a bunch of ice cubes and put them in a baking pan, and you put them on your smoker, or if you don't have a smoker, you just have a grill set up in 2 zones, throw a bunch of wood on the hot side, and let it smoke for about an hour or so. Smoke sticks to wet surfaces and cold surfaces pretty well, so the smoke will stick to the ice, and eventually it melts, and you get this lightly tan water with smoke dissolved in it. Greg, I'm going to say something that's going to make you barf, but it's a form of liquid smoke. We all know, regulars here all know how Greg hates liquid smoke. But liquid smoke is made very much the same way bourbon does.
Yep. So
if you hate liquid smoke, put down that bourbon.
It's totally a crazy comparison that you just made, Meathead, and I'm not going to let you get away with it. Saying that the process is not the same as one tasting like crap and the other one tasting like something that was just wrung out of Jesus's hand.
It's a very similar process, and most commercial barbecue sauces have liquid smoke in it.
Yes.
Because it can give things a slightly outdoorsy flavor. In any case, you melt the ice cubes with warm air inside your smoker, and the smoke sticks to it, and then you freeze it back up in an ice cube tray, and now you have ice cubes that have a very delicate smoky flavor. And you can either just put them in a drink on the rocks, or put the ice cubes in a shaker. And one of the cool things about a shaker is it not only chills. People joke about Bond, whether he wants it shaken or stirred. But when you stir a drink with ice cubes in it, there's very little melting. So you get a stronger drink. But if you put ice cubes in a shaker, it chips off the edges of the ice cubes and sometimes breaks them up, and you get more dilution that way. And so that water adds to the character, and you'll get a little smoky character into the drink. And it's very subtle. And one of the cool things about it is that it's barely noticeable at first, but as you nurse your drink, it gets stronger and stronger. So you have this kind of musicality to the drink where it changes with time. There's a temporal aspect to it. It's a lot of fun. So smoked ice is a cool technique to use. And there's other techniques. You mentioned the anise. You get these anise pods, and you lay them on a wooden plank, and you get like a Bunsen burner, or they have these little kitchen torches that are butane, and you start it smoldering, and then you put the glass upside down, and all that smoke is captured in the glass. And then you make the drink, and you pour the drink in the glass, and the smoke gets a little dissolved into the drink. Again, it's very subtle, but it's really quite nice.
So would this be working well? Also, the first thing that's coming to my mind is smoke. You see everybody making these smoked Manhattans, smoked Old Fashions. So can you take your smoked ice, put a cube or two in a nice rocks glass, and then pour yourself 3 or 4 fingers of your favorite bourbon, and it complements it, or will the bourbon overtake?
It's a very mild character, so it really doesn't overtake the bourbon. Depending on what drink, cocktails can be quite strong flavored.
Sure.
You've got not only the alcohol, but you've got your basic elements of a cocktail. You have your hard, which is the whiskey. You have your soft, which is the it could be sour mix or lime juice or soft drinks or milk or whatever, but it's non-alcoholic. Often they're sweet, which it could be either sugar or simple syrup. There's often bitters. There's often something on the rim. So there's a variety of things go into a cocktail, and as a sum, they can be quite strong. So the smoke really is just a fiddle in the orchestra, and it doesn't overtake. Now, on the smoked ice, there were a couple of drinks we made where we noticed after an hour it started getting stronger as it melted, and we liked it less. But in general, it was really a nice thing.
So let me ask you on that. As you're talking about the ice starting to, or the longer you were nursing this drink, the more pronounced the smoke came. Is this also indicative of, in the wine world, and we're going to actually talk a little bit more wine after the break here, but there's a constant notion of, and let me preface any type of snobbery right off the top and say, drink any wine any way you want, pair it however you want. I don't care. As long as it tastes good to you, that's the way you want to do it. But
I agree.
To me, when I was really drinking wine and really into it, I was told, especially with white wines, don't drink it cold. There is that propensity to want to chill a bottle of white wine, and you're drinking it, but you're not really experiencing what that wine is like because the cold is hiding some nose, it's hiding some other flavors, and then after it gets to room temperature, it's a whole different wine than it was when you took it out of the refrigerator or you had kept it at 55 degrees or what have you. Similar concept then, do you think, with the ice when it's super cold in a block form, it's not releasing the bouquet?
Can be. Can be. I think with wine, I mean, what we remember from high school physics and chemistry class is that when things are chilled, the molecules move slower. The flavor molecules aren't as active in a cold drink. So when you allow a drink to warm up, those flavor molecules get more active, vibrate more. But a lot of that happens on your tongue. I mean, if you take a sip of white wine that's chilled, it's going to warm fairly quickly in your mouth unless you just knock it back. Those flavors are constantly changing, and we all perceive them differently too. We've learned that one person's taste is very different than one man's trash is another man's treasure, is the old saying. Everybody's taste is different. Taste is a matter of taste. Chacun a son goût, I think, is the French expression.
I wouldn't have the first.
Yeah, flavors change with temperature, and that's kind of what's going on here with the smoked ice. There was something else that we did that was a lot of fun. We mixed up a bunch of drinks, and we kept saying, "Gosh, I don't notice." Like, for example, we did a drink where the sour mix was grilled lemon, and we tasted it. We really liked it, and the lemon flavor was rich. But we just kept saying, "Well, I don't see where the grilled flavor is." It's a nice drink, and it was just very creative. We did some fun stuff with it, but we don't. And then we thought about it, and I said, "Can we make the same drink without grilling the lemon?" And boy, was there a difference! It was just so subtle that it was lemon. But what happened is it changed the chemistry. There was no grill flavor or smoke flavor in the lemon juice, but it altered the chemistry of the lemon. And as you looked at it, it was a much darker golden color, and it was richer. It was slightly sweet, or it wasn't as acidic. And it really, side by side, the two drinks, the grilled lemon one was so much better. So all kinds of fun stuff we discovered.
Meathead from AmazingRibs.com joining me here as he does the second Tuesday of every month. Meathead, stand by, and we will come back and do some Facebook question and answering. We'll also see if there's anything else that you might want to talk about.